Welcome aboard our scenic flight from Kahului to Honolulu. For a change of pace, we're going to use the Eclipse 550 twin-engine aircraft because it's fast, free, and has a Garmin navigational system. This makes the Eclipse 550 my personal favorite. If you haven't downloaded or tried this aircraft yet, visit the xplane.org forums or use the link in this video. So let's have a look at today's flight plan. We will depart Kahului at a flight level of 8,000 feet, an average speed of 300. We'll arrive in Honolulu in around 30 minutes, choosing runway 08 left, which has an ILS frequency of 111.70. If you would like to follow along on this flight, I included the routes below that you can enter into the GNS 430, which is built into the Eclipse 550 twin-engine aircraft. So let's begin. Alright, we're now sitting inside the Eclipse 550 on runway 20 and we're ready for takeoff. So before we do that, in case you're interested in following along on this flight by downloading the plane and going through the waypoints, I'll walk you through how to configure the plane. First thing we'll do is go to the GPS. If you're unfamiliar with how to use the GPS and entering the waypoints that were earlier specified in the video, you can watch the tutorial on how to use the Garmin 430 that I posted earlier. So I'm going to hold the clear button in, that'll bring it to the home screen, select flight plan, and I'm going to go ahead and select the preloaded flight plan. And I'm going to go over here and I want to go directly to the LNY waypoint. As you can see here, the distance is 0.2, so by the time I actually take off from the runway, I'll overshoot this waypoint, and we'll have to select it manually anyway. So I'm just going to press the center button, scroll to the second waypoint, use the direct to function, and away we go. Alright, now that the GPS is entered, let's go ahead and configure our altitude. So if you look over here, you can see it's already at 8,000, which is what we want. If it's not 8,000 for you, go clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust the altitude until you get to 8,000. As far as speed goes, we'll go ahead and enable the Flight Director feature. Flight Director is a visual autopilot. It's these green arrows on the left and right of your vertical horizon. So let's say we set the airplane to fly to a heading of 090. These arrows will show us how we need to pitch the plane to get to that particular heading or speed. In our case, what we're actually going to be doing is telling the plane that we want to go at a speed of 250 knots all the way up to 8,000 feet and not exceed 250 knots. That's a very safe and comfortable ride for our passengers here today. So we'll go ahead and select the IAS function. This is what controls the speed of our ascent, and go clockwise until we get to 250. Alright, it's daytime, so we don't need landing and taxi lights. Everything else is set up correctly. Let's lower our flaps down by 1 point. There we go. So what we'll do is we're going to take off from runway 20. When I get in the air, I'm going to enable the autopilot. The autopilot will fly the plane for me by going at a speed of 250 up to 8,000 feet. And when we're over these mountains over here, then I will engage the navigation function so the plane will actually veer right towards our waypoints that we defined earlier. And then we'll have a nice 30-minute flight landing in Honolulu, and as we get to the various aspects of the flight, when we get to cruise, I will explain those to you as well. So let's take off. Alright, I'm going to raise the flaps. Alright, we're on our way up to 8,000 feet at a speed of 250 knots. So now, since we're over the mountains, let's go ahead and gauge the navigational feature. We'll now start turning towards the mountains. At 7,000 feet, we're going to hear a noise. There you go. That tells us we're 1,000 feet away from our goal. And soon the IAS function, which just happened now, kicked off. So now the speed will start to increase. So very quickly, we have to enable the ATHR function, which is an engine throttle, and then set the speed to our new desired cruising speed, which is going to be 300. So again, I set the speed from 250 to 300, and I enabled the ATHR feature. So now the engine will throttle up and throttle down, maintaining a speed of 300 and an altitude of 8,000 feet. We now have a ways to fly until we get to Honolulu, so let's enjoy the scenery, and when we get further in our flight, I'll explain the next phases of our flight. Alright, we're going to bump our speed up here to 310. Alright, we're now approximately 7 or 8 minutes away from Honolulu, and we want to descend at a rate of about 1,000 feet per minute. So we'll start our descent down to 4,000 feet. So what we'll do is we'll go over here to the up-down knob, and we will adjust the vertical speed to minus 1,000. We can see here on the screen. We'll now change the altitude indicator down to 4,000. And then we'll engage the vertical speed button, which will bring us down to a descent of 1,000 feet per minute. And we can see already it's starting to kick in. When we get a little closer, we'll bring that down even more, but for now, we'll enjoy the scenery at about 4,000 feet. That means we're 1,000 feet away from our goal of 4,000 feet. Alright, in 3.3 minutes we'll be making our final approach. We're 4,000 feet away, 4,000 feet in altitude yet. I'd like to get down to about 1,500, so we're going to keep our descent going. We'll go ahead and just tune down the altitude here to 1,500. We'll say 1,400. Same time, we're going to reduce our speed here so that we're going to have a safe landing that won't be bumpy. So we'll go ahead and tone down our speed for the initial setting to 250 again, and we'll lower it all the way down to about 150 as we get closer. But so far, 250 is good to start us down. Alright, as we approach the runway, we'll lower our flaps, lower our landing gear, and we'll slowly start descending at a slower speed as well very soon. I'm going to adjust the speed down to 220. And we'll go ahead and look at our map and make sure things look good for a landing. And make sure we have our localizer frequency. So as we can see here, this trail is where we left. We left Kahului, flew all the way along this flight path. Now we're lining up. We're going to SHIGI, and then we'll be landing up here with the glide slope. So I select the glide slope, runway 0L left, sorry, 08L, which is 80 left. We'll tune that into our nav1 radio, the frequency 111.70, and when we get around this waypoint over here, we're going to switch from GPS to COM navigation, or sorry, to our nav1 radio, so that we can pick up the glide slope and localizer. Alright, we're turning on to the final approach here, going into our last waypoint. So soon we'll jump inside the cockpit and make sure everything is ready for landing. Let's reduce our speed down to 200 now. Alright, we're now going to go and change the navigational source from GPS to Nav1 and turn on our approach button. And we should intercept the glide slope and make our way into the runway.
One thousand.
That beep means we've now intercepted the glide slope, so we should start our descent down onto the runway. And as we can see here, we are within the range of the glide slope here.
One thousand.
Light slow. 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 Light slow.
500.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
400.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
300.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
200.
Light slow.
One hundred. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Alright, well, a couple mistakes there. We should have came in, I'd say, at maybe 1,200 feet instead of around the 1,400. We didn't quite intercept the glide slope, so at the end I had to disengage the autopilot, and we had a little bit of a rougher landing than normal. So I would say if you were to do this flight again, come in at about 1,250 feet on that last turn, and you should intercept the glide slope no problem and have a full automatic landing. But like all things in life, mistakes happen and you have to learn to adjust. So hopefully you learned something from this video, and if nothing else, you now have this Eclipse 550 plane and you now know how to use the autopilot features of it. So tell me your comments of if you repeated this flight and what altitude you were able to select on that last lag of the flight to engage the glide slope properly, and if you've flown any other particular flights with the Eclipse 550 and your thoughts. So have a great day.